What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Game Scoop. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield. Joining me this week is Justin Davis, Tina Amini, and Sam Claiborne.
Hey, everybody.
And we've got a great show for you this week. We're going to talk about next-gen consoles. We're going to talk about Breath of the Wild 2. But first, today is Tina's 2-year IGN work-iversary.
Thank you. Yes, it is. I keep forgetting and
Thunderous
remembering.
applause. Yeah.
Feels like 10,
2
guys.
years. Feels like 10.
Oh. So that's
a good
200
way.
episodes of Game Scoop, I believe.
No, it hasn't
Nope.
been.
That's not.
Right? Isn't that
That's
the
not
math?
how that
Nope.
works.
Nope.
200.
No.
You just add
episodes.
zeros to things. It might be.
Did you think of a good question to ask her, Sam?
No.
Okay.
So here's the thing. All right, in our we have a morning meeting every day, and we stand up in front of everybody. And if there's a new person on staff, we always ask them, "What's their favorite game of all time?" And then they answer that. That's like their induction question. But sometimes we also have announced birthdays and anniversaries and stuff like that. We don't have any other questions to ask.
What's your favorite game of the last 2 years?
I know what that is.
What? I mean, I spoiled it already. Red Dead 2. Why? What were you going to say?
I was going to say that for sure, but I know,
Yeah.
but only because like that was like a big game of the year discussion that came up over the time. But maybe you would have liked Control better, so I don't know.
No, Red Dead 2 was a far more impressive experience.
What about
overall.
best movie over the past 2 years?
Oh, I would have to remember what I even watched. Parasite. Parasite's pretty good.
Yeah.
I would go with Parasite.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. You know, decent enough for me to remember off the top of my head.
A real teeny movie. What did we call them? We had another one.
I'm crying a little bit right now. I'm trying not for people to notice.
Why are you crying?
There's an eyelash in here, man, and
been
I
2
don't want it
years
to be
and
this
you're
like awful.
Wistful.
I've lasted
many-
2 years without this happening, but
many
they
good
go
times.
in there sometimes.
In there.
Yeah, 2 years
Wow.
is.
It's just a little eyelash in my eye.
I'm just gonna do the rest of the show one eye.
You're not
Anyway.
You're not announcing this is your last scoop. Is
No, definitely not. We
thank
joked
goodness.
about doing what my least favorite game was,
Which
and it has to be the Expendables 2 because the year that I reviewed that
Ever.
game.
That's your least favorite game. Not of the
You
past 2
reviewed the
years.
game,
I was going to say in the
Expendables
past
2?
2
I did,
years, if
yeah.
you reviewed the Expendables, it'd be really
I don't know
favorite.
that I have a game in the past 2 years that's my least favorite because we're fortunate enough we get to be selective about what we play at this point. So I just play stuff
I think
I
we've
like.
abandoned some games early on.
Like what?
I didn't like Devil May Cry.
We didn't really like Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Yeah,
sorry,
that's a good
sorry,
point.
Tom. Sorry, everybody.
But Sam beat it.
Yeah, I
That's
did.
true. No. The official word is he rolled credits.
I rolled the
Rolled- that's
credits
right.
on Sayonara
That was a
Wild
Damonism.
Hearts.
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you.
it's hard not to be.
See, here's why, is that I've only played the last level in that game. And I beat it. So I've rolled the credits.
All right. Well, here's to hopefully many more years.
Yes, please.
200 more episodes.
Yeah, 200
Yeah.
more. Here's the
That's
next
all we
200.
get. Did you
then
know
4
that I'm
years.
approaching the end of my run?
Oh, and then you're out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that why you're not on NBC anymore?
Amy rules.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I'm not on NBC anymore. It's not because I irritated Pear so much that I was removed from the
sees
show
enough of you.
forcefully.
Okay, this week we've got sort of a big original article going up on
Yeah.
IGN.com. Because last week we got the official specs on Xbox Series X, 12 teraflops, hardware advanced ray tracing, is that the actual
Yeah.
term, something like that. So we reached out to a bunch of developers and asked them, like, what does this stuff actually mean for the games? that we're
Top
gonna
secret project working developers that are working on next gen games that would talk to us off the record. Not off the record.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing is like, obviously we're interested in learning more about next gen stuff and what that actually tangibly means because all of the questions out of that news announcement was, well, what does this actually mean for my games? What does it mean for the graphical fidelity, which is a reductionist kind of perspective because that's not all it means, but obviously we strive to answer the questions that our readers have, but a lot of people just can't talk about this stuff yet because they're under NDA because they're working on games on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. But fortunately, we did get some commentary, and it's this like fascinating roster of information that our executive editor of Tech, Bo Moore, put together through many phone calls and many hours of transcription and many hours of editing.
It's been a big project.
Yeah, we've kept him busy. It's been good. But the consensus is basically a couple things. Yes, it will graphically look better. Like games will graphically look better on a realistic scale. But there you can do a lot of interesting things with realism in hair and smoke and how that impacts gameplay often. Like smoke can be used to disguise enemies or, to make it a little bit more difficult or make it an interesting play style.
And it's not a joke, but smoke is more smoky because right now smoke is like this just kind of effect that's kind of between you and a thing. But like this could be like things emerging from it or things hiding in it in a like different way and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Smoke
exactly.
realistically moving around an object that's
Yeah.
being pushed through it,
Same for
Exactly.
hair. It's just a giant world of hair.
Yep.
Yeah.
And things can be pushed through it.
Disgusting. Ugh.
Well, so one of the developers mentioned hair and gel and how those two things interact. So it's like how hair looks on its own as a simulative thing, but then also how it goes up against the environment itself.
Yeah.
So
if it
it's
gets wet,
fascinating.
or if you, like you
Yes.
said, like you mentioned, if you put hair gel
If
in
you
it,
style it specifically.
But Tina
which
made
will be
a joke.
great for JRPGs.
Yeah, for sure. And right before this, we were saying that it's just that's what games have always looked like, is that everybody had hair gel.
Yeah,
Because it's just
it
that
was just a
solid piece.
chunk of hair.
That's true.
It's like now mitten effects really look good for hands.
Yeah.
Good mitten effects.
And then
Yeah.
I think they're also saying how like the ray tracing, which is a lighting effect, should allow for more realistic ways that light will like shine through hair.
And audio too, which is
Audio,
a cool aspect of ray tracing I haven't seen a lot of developers talk about, because everyone's like, oh, the lighting will be great. And in general, in next gen, the big thing is like lighting and shaders. But the way that audio works in a spatial environment and how ray tracing impacts that is also a really cool little detail. And then the other big picture thing was
Is the idea that sound waves bounce like light, and so it's like it's simulating.
yeah,
that
exactly.
what sound
And then depending on whatever, like let's say you're in a cave or something, it'll more properly.
And
simulate
our ears are like
that
stereo and
bounce.
attuned to like pick up on those really, really small things to do positioning. So that's interesting. I have like the worst TV sound system. It's just my TV, you know? I mean, I think
Well,
it's great.
That's
Like,
the other.
you need
So
good sound systems to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So we're also using this as a jumping off point for Damon's other show, which is Next Gen Console Watch 2020. And he breaks down all the TVs that you should upgrade to and why and what the elements are.
Bo does.
Bo does, yeah.
But if you had to choose, it'd be the Sony Trinitron 13-inch monitor
Yeah.
from 1996.
Yeah, exactly.
The one that we have on our desk.
Or whichever one we talked about on GameScoop that was in the magazine that had the speakers built into it.
Yeah.
I love that one.
What about that like $60,000 one that
Yeah.
you were talking about on the previous episode?
We were talking about how, Best Buy sells a 98-inch 8K TV. There's a Sony one and a Samsung, and they're $60,000.
But I think it's on sale for $40,000.
Yeah.
So
That-
I mean,
That
bargain.
TV is for no one on earth.
I can't believe Best Buy sells something that costs $60,000.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Also, that's like the most likely to reduce in value in 10 years product you could possibly buy.
Yeah.
It's like there's no way that that's not worth. Well, okay, so we purge TVs in the office sometimes because they're hung up on the walls and they're used for like conference rooms and stuff, and like they're all universally like better TVs than I had 5 years ago, but they just go in the e-waste because nobody wants them. Like we offer them up freely. You know, like people are like, who wants to take home this plasma television that's 1080p?
We need to make a TV
Nobody.
fort.
Yeah, if we could make a TV for it twice a year.
What were some of the other insights?
Well, so another big one is that like indie smaller studios
Yeah.
will be able to have more flexibility because they don't have to focus as much on optimization, so that you can actually leverage the power of consoles. So one of the developers was talking about, I'll just read a quote since I went through the trouble of printing it out. Who is this? Where is this? Okay, so Bryant Cannon, who's the lead developer at Night School Studios. They worked on After Party and before that Oxenfree, a GameScoop favorite, I would say. Can I say that?
Sure, I haven't played it, but
You can
I
say
loved
what
it.
I thought you did.
you can say whatever you want.
I think you'd like it.
think so.
You like Oxenfree, that's what it is,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Okay, so it's a
loved
GameScoop
it too.
favorite. Yeah, that's
I'm over here, Tina.
Oh, yeah. Well, I only pay attention to this quadrant. It is known. So Bryant says, in After Party, we have a crowd system where every person, every character in the scene has AI, and they're walking around, they're doing various actions to make the scene feel full. And that was much more of a simulation at first, where every demon in a bar has a simulated amount of drunkenness. Obviously, the premise of the game is you get drunk with Satan. They're all changing their animations based on how drunk they are. What we realized is, A, it wasn't that important to the game to play, to the gameplay to have everything simulated like that. And B, it was having a pretty big effect on our performance, and the frame rate was suffering because of it. So we decided to scale that down. But if we were to make this game on the Xbox Series X or possibly the PS5, then maybe we would have been able to have all of that simulation playing out without sacrificing performance. And even though it didn't have a big effect on the gameplay, it was more of an aesthetic thing. That is, that would have made the bar feel even more alive and dynamic.
That's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the other point. A couple other developers that Bo interviewed also mentioned like things that you can do with the crowd, just cool details that amplify the story and the environment and the aesthetic that aren't necessary per se, but are nice to have in like a next generation leveled up kind of game.
And those aren't
experience.
textures and polygons. Those are like this amalgamation of things. I think that's
Yeah.
really interesting to think about it that way.
I think it's like the more things change, the more things also stay the same. Like ray tracing, some of this tech is brand new, or at least new in like a mainstream way, never been seen before. But like, you can go back to interviews. Maybe this is on my mind because it was in one of the old magazine issues we flipped through. Where like when we were jumping from 8-bit to 16-bit, some developer was like, "It's so freeing to be able to create without constraints. Like now we're finally not limited by how many sprites we have on screen and how many." Like I think it was Miyamoto talking about making Mario World versus Mario 1, 2, and 3. We're like, now we can do whatever we want.
Well, the best is so for console watch tomorrow, which will be day and date, I guess, same time as Scoop goes up.
It's out now.
By the time out now.
Yeah.
The crew mentions Conker's Bad Fur Day, and so we have a clip where we have a clip where Ryan's like, "The fur was amazing," and it's a stretched out video, and it looks so ridiculously bad by comparison. But it's like at the time, it felt like this big achievement. So imagine all the ways that were, exactly.
And he was talking about Conker coming to the Xbox, which again, like I remember as being this like super realism moment.
Yeah. The fur tech for Conker on Xbox was incredible at the time.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous now.
Remember the bee fur in Mario Galaxy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember this at all? So the bees had and some of the bosses had like a fur to them. And there is at the time Iwata asks the column where he'd interview people, and he asks Shigeru Miyamoto, how did you make the bee fur look so furry? And he's like, that's a company secret. There's no more said.
That's fair.
There's nothing that Miyamoto cares about less than bee fur.
Yeah.
Is the actual hair like on a bumblebee? Is it called fur?
Nobody knows.
Existential questions of the day.
We were talking about that with spiders.
I want to know this.
Really recently.
If it's
like
hair?
a tarantula.
Yeah.
Is it fur?
Like are all furry things.
Is the Yoda mask fur or hair?
Oh God. Is Baby Yoda a plush?
No, we already covered that one. It has been scientifically proven.
I don't think it's fur though, because they're not mammals.
I do have one other quote that was interesting.
Please.
So Elijah Freeman, who's the VP of the games division at Virtuos, they do a lot of third-party porting. You might be familiar with Assassin's Creed on Switch. This quote, he says, "The Xbox Series X's power allows us to close in on photorealism for in-game graphics and increasingly blur the line between the work we do for games and the work we do for movies. For example, the quality of the graphics in the next Star Wars game probably won't be far off the computer-generated graphics in The Mandalorian."
That's a great quote.
Yeah. And a lot of people were referencing Pixar and different stylistic choices that you can do with the flexibility of the power that it allows for. But man, can you think of playing through The Mandalorian? I didn't like the show, but maybe the game version.
Man.
You can just keep that to yourself.
Fun.
No, I want to let it be known. The last episode is okay.
Yeah.
The
middle stretch.
Remember that one episode where
Baby
it was
Yoda is just the
bad?
thing that makes that show.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Baby is great. There's that whole stretch of the episode. It's like I think it's the heist one.
Yeah.
Just terrible episode.
Yeah.
And then the best part of the whole series happens at the end of it, which is just 3 minutes of X-wing
blowing
pilots
up.
exterminating people for no reason. I know. They do it because they got a phone call.
They just show up. They're not going to question anybody.
Nope.
They just blow up the whole.
Yeah.
I think they're like, we got a runner.
Yeah.
Because somebody's trying to leave this bay, and then they just shoot it off.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I actually do agree with you, Tina. I think that show is equal parts good and bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
that's-
think I remember a specific tweet from you that says about the same.
But then
Called out.
no, you're completely right. Like I'll call myself out, but then it did pick up it starts really strong and ends really strong, and then in the middle,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's when they have the Monster of the Week episodes, and you're like, what are we doing here, everybody?
Well,
I
the
remember that
theory
tweet. It
being-
was, guys, what if Mandalorian's actually bad?
yeah, that was what
I think that was
saying.
your exact tweet. Yeah. I think the theory is that show is going to stretch on for a really long time, so they don't mind taking their time.
Well, yeah.
It's just a fun time.
Yeah,
It's not trying to be anything big. It's like I'm watching The Expanse, which is like a really big, really heady, impressive, amazing show, and The Mandalorian is not that. It's just, hey, look, just come hang out with us.
Hey, just Star Wars.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
just
hey,
Star
over
Wars
here.
with
Hey,
us.
it's just Star Wars over here.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you can find this full article on IGN now. Lots of great quotes from these developers. Really in-depth article. It's a really cool piece. Do you know what the headline is so people can find it?
I believe we went with, I can cheat because I have my phone on me.
I mean,
There's a little behind the scenes
What is
thing.
it?
We put a lot of our headlines to a group test, and everybody gets to pitch headlines, and then it's usually the person with most seniority whose headline is chosen because everybody's scared of them.
Yeah.
There were 35 responses to this one.
An AI writes our headlines. Actually, we just put in buzzwords and then it just
Yep.
There's an ongoing debate as to what it'll be, but
Okay. Well, we'll be promoting
Who
it.
gets to settle
But
that, Tina?
I personally like mine.
This is what it'll be.
Yeah.
Which is, well, actually, this is like mine plus Dan Stapleton's. Xbox Series X will empower games to look and play better. Feels like a concise, captures all the little elements.
Okay.
Anyway, look for something with Xbox Series X in the headline.
We'll be promoting it heavily on the site, IGN.com, all weekend, I'm sure.
Yes.
Let's talk about a current gen game.
Okay.
That wasn't from the current gen game. We finally got a release date for Ghost of Tsushima, and I go back and forth on it whether it's ghosts or ghosts.
It's Ghost.
It's just
You go back and forth on it.
I
can never remember.
I had that epiphany today. I was meeting with Chris Reed, and we were talking about the pre-orders that went up today. And I called that game Ghosts, and then that's not right. And then I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've been calling it Ghosts on GameScoop.
Yeah, I think
for like a year.
Yeah.
Really? I don't think you guys have. I think
It's
you always
Ghost.
nail it.
You just got to trail off the end of it. No
Yeah.
one can tell. Ghost.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's pretty good. I didn't know which one you
Ghost.
said.
Anyway,
I don't know. I don't know which one you said.
PlayStation 4 exclusive Ghost of Tsushima is out June 26th. Couple weeks after E3, if E3 happens at all. And it is, I think, the only big game of June right now. Death Stranding comes to PC in
Yeah.
June.
Last of Us 2 will have been out in May by then.
Yeah, it's just about a month. It's like May 29th, so it's just about a month earlier.
These games sneaking out right before PS5 are so oddly timed.
What's the matter? What's happening?
Nothing.
I put on my headphones finally, and now that the cable is in everybody's way.
Wait, the headphone situation here is just a mess.
What?
Okay.
Sure.
Good.
There's also a story trailer today that I know Sam wasn't impressed with. I didn't watch it. How are people feeling about the game in general?
Well, I don't know what the game is still, so that's a problem.
Well,
Well, I mean, there are gameplay demos out.
There are gameplay demos, and they're like, one fight in a field.
Yeah, I agree with Sam.
A very pretty
We don't
field.
really
Very
know.
pretty
We
field.
don't really know much about that game moment to moment.
Yeah,
And this
are
just
there
showed-
swords in it?
definitely swords.
It's hella swords.
20 questions, Joe.
What kind of what do you mean? What defines a sword? A long piece of metal, or
Open world action adventure game set in feudal Japan.
Is it open world?
that's what's unclear.
No, it is.
But open world doesn't mean anything anymore.
What does that mean?
Like, I want to see, is it a contiguous map that you can just run to the edge of it like you can in The Witcher or Breath of the Wild? Or is it like, open world, like some contemporary like RPGs like Dragon Age, where it's like, okay, yeah, there's technically a big map, but there's just a bunch of squares.
Or
you
like
can
Outer
explore
Worlds, where you just go to different places.
Exactly. I
there-
would call Outer Worlds an open world-ish game, but it's not an open world game because it's just not continuous. You have to load, areas.
Is it stealthy?
Yeah. Yes. Stealth action.
Are you
adventure.
making this game?
I mean, you're a ghost.
You have no idea.
I'm happy. What are you talking about?
What are you talking
All
about?
you have to do is read the preview coverage on IGN.com.
We've
Tell
been
us
very
all this
busy
stuff.
today.
Oh my god! All right, we didn't preview the game anytime recently.
No, that's true.
It's been a long time. And
Information still stands unless they've changed the game into.
I mean, what did you learn from the story trailer?
that people talk and duel, and I already knew that.
What are they pissed about? I assume they're pissed about something.
Wars and shit.
Yeah.
It is hard to be. It is a story trailer, not a gameplay trailer. So
And I
I guess
think
I
that's
shouldn't
the last
bellyache
thing-
too much about not getting gameplay details from the story trailer.
But there is in the story trailer, it does like at the end of it kind of show like an angry person with a sword standing in front of like a really cool mountain or a really cool castle or a really cool field, and I just want to be like, go in there.
Yeah.
Show me if I can go in there or not, or else maybe it's just like you can talk on the outside of that castle and run away, which I know is not true because I know also the developer who made Sunset Overdrive. Is that right?
Nope.
I always get this wrong.
Infamous.
Yes. But that is a absolutely by the books open world exploration and acrobatics game. So
I really like this game's. This is sort of an odd. I really like its color palette.
I was thinking literally the same thing.
Oh,
just now.
cool.
It
I think it's
it looks
really,
like fall.
Yeah, it's really different looking than any other. Like,
But like peppers with color.
even a game
really
like
bright.
Sekiro or games that are sort of like thematic relations to it, it feels like this has managed to carve out its own visual identity that is very striking and beautiful.
Yeah.
weird summer game.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if we should read anything into that. The fact that it's coming so soon after Last of Us Part 2, I don't know.
I'm just saying about the season.
Yeah.
But I love having a summer game. That's my favorite thing.
Well, currently that's the only one. Do you know, right as of right now, and I'm not even like exaggerating and ignoring little games, no game is coming out in July. Literally no game has a release date.
The
by
industry
July.
doesn't like July for some reason.
Yep.
like the quiet after E3. Everyone's
Yeah.
buckling down, not paying attention.
There's also, we have literally no idea what Nintendo's doing the rest of the year. We have Animal Crossing in
Animal Crossing's
a
this
week
month,
and a half.
and
They have,
And then nothing.
Pokemon DLC,
Yeah.
and that's basically it.
Animal Crossing seasons.
Yes. They'll
counts.
They'll have updates, right? In July, the real video game we'll all be playing is just fireworks.
What was the
I'll still be
fireworks?
playing
What
Animal
was
Crossing.
the fireworks launch game for PS2?
Oh.
Fantavision.
Fantavision.
Fantavision. Well, speaking of what Nintendo does have coming in the future, let's check in with the listeners.
Hey, listeners.
Well, you only have sound effects today.
Listeners, remember, no, I have other stuff too.
Were you not
have
able
some
to
games?
print?
I was not able to print. That's why I'm looking at my phone.
You should have asked me.
Yeah, but then there's sensitive information.
Oh, that's true.
run of
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Listeners, remember you can always reach us at the email address gamescoop@ign.com, just like, who is this? Chris Hill in Cardiff, Wales. It says,
Cardiff by the Sea?
Hi, Game Scoopers. It's just Cardiff.
Okay.
We are a bit late to the party, but my son has recently started playing Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Wii U. I know this may be a bit early, but I wondered what innovations you would like to see in Breath of the Wild 2. The game is already so free roaming, but I would like the series to reintroduce the islands idea. I feel getting in a boat and setting out to sea in Breath of the Wild would add an extra dimension to it, allowing for each island to be distinct. Love to hear your thoughts.
Man, it's still, like, sometimes I forget that game was announced.
Yeah.
Like, the best game of this generation is getting a direct sequel, and Zelda's getting a direct sequel, but, like, it's hard for me to get more hype till we know more. This is a fun question to think about.
I have a good one.
Okay, what?
All right. So what I liked about Majora's Mask is that, and this was kind of like a development cheat probably, but it ended up good, is that they used a lot of the same assets, including characters and locations and stuff like that, and just warped them. And
What do you
it
mean
was
warped them?
They warped, like, it was like kind of a warped reality with like
Transformed.
goofiness and stuff like yeah. But you'd recognize elements, like, oh, the wizard in the telescope places in both games, and
like the
doing
mask
different roles.
salesman, was the man in the windmill. Like, yeah.
And even like the tree assets and stuff like that would be like the same, but like a little bit off. And it had kind of like a unfamiliar, uncanny feeling to it. So I would really like Breath of the Wild to, do that. Just, first of all, so it's out a lot faster. Make those assets reused. But I would love to, have like that same kind of exploration. Everything's new and there's lots to explore, but everything's just a little bit like weird and different and somehow familiar and maybe dark and evil.
Could that game be this year? It's 3.5 years.
I mean, it is 3.5 years. And if Sam says, they've got their assets already in place, they can reuse a lot of them. I mean,
I can't wait.
I know. I just do wonder, like, exploring that world was like the whole point of that game. It's like, are we going to just explore the same world? Are they, building a whole other world for us to explore? Could it possibly be as big and as exciting and mysterious? Like,
People always talk about bringing back dungeons too. I don't want them.
No.
I do.
I don't want the dungeons. I now realize that when I go into the dungeon, all I want to do is get the equipment and get out of there. And it takes too long for me to get my equipment. I just want to get back to the overworld in every game for some reason.
See, I have a different perspective.
Link's Awakening.
To me, what I love about the Zelda games, Breath of the Wild is the exception because it's this incredible, clockwork open world. But it is those dungeons and how they sort of serve as puzzle boxes, and they have these series of like smaller puzzles. And the best dungeons are also, you're like, I don't know, Water Temple's a bad example because everybody hates that dungeon. But like, you're having, like, there's a bigger puzzle to solve too. And they're really intricate and fit together in these interesting ways. And you can you slowly sort of like chip away at like a dungeon's mysteries. And no game scratches that exact itch. And as good as Breath of the Wild is, the sequel, I hope the sequel sort of fixes that part of it.
I think one of the coolest things about the first one is how long it's lasted and how many antics people have been using and playing around with. So the more opportunity for that. I was reading this morning that apparently players have now figured out how to launch Guardians into space, and so they're just doing that
using the bullet time,
over and over.
the bullet time, and the what do you call it? The making the little water column.
Yeah.
So I think you actually exactly hit the nail on the head with that. What makes Grand Theft Auto 5 also last this long is the same thing. It's the fact that people can cheat and break it, and that the people that made that game were confident enough to release an open world game that didn't have to be perfect. Like it was breakable in a bunch of different interesting ways. And that didn't mean that like the game shipped broken and people gave it bad scores or anything. It meant the opposite. It meant that people had more fun with it because it's a playground you can play with. And I would actually contrast that directly with open world games that are just less feature rich, like Far Cry. And I think like that game is really pretty and it does the job for getting through it. But like I don't want to do anything in that world, and I don't want to go in there and break that world. I want to do that in Grand Theft Auto and Zelda. I think that's a really astute point.
To
So don't fix anything.
like
We like bugs.
in terms of actual features or systems that I want to see explored more, you could build
Explode more is a
Explode more.
good thing to aim for too.
See, goofs and antics.
more goofs and antics. I like that you could own a home in Breath of the Wild, and I liked that you got to rebuild this town called Terrytown, and it had this really fun music and these really interesting side stories. And honestly, it wasn't that fleshed out. Like you gathered up a bunch of wood, and then a new house would be built the next time you went back to Terrytown. But like that was really, really satisfying, and it was just sort of this thing that was happening off to the side the whole game. And so I would like to see more sort of reason to collect all these crazy resources, and I'd like to do more like homesteading in Breath of the Wild too.
Some more Fable in your Breath of the Wild.
More Animal Crossing.
Slightly more Animal Crossing. I want to be able to make more of an impact and change in the world and rebuild.
I would suspect Nintendo wants that too. That's a really
Yeah.
good prediction.
I'm such a sucker for any game where you get to build and develop your own home base. That's why I like the Suikoden games. It's a series of role-playing games, but you have a castle that's like your fort. And then as you recruit people, like now this shop's open, and now there's a gambling hall, and now there's a cook in your castle, and it changes as the whole game.
Fire Emblem's really good about that.
Yeah, it's the best. And so
And Metal Gear. Solid 5.
That's true. That is true.
And the other thing I want to see, and maybe it's just because there's so many persistent rumors that you can maybe play as Princess Zelda in this one, but I want to see a really cool magic system. It's neat magic spells.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. Actually, Red Dead had a good home base too.
That's true. Yeah.
In Red
Yeah.
Dead 2, you really cared about your camp a lot. Well, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
Don't look
about,
at me so accusatorily.
What do you think about Christopher's idea of reintroducing like sort of the islands and sailing of Wind Waker? That'd be one way to sort of
It shakes up
get
the
you off
graphics.
the same map, go out into the seas, and then they could build a series of islands.
And what if it was continuous from the existing game?
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's like all of a sudden, like the left side
the whole
of the
thing
map.
is surrounded by water, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What if the left side? Well, I think the left side's mountains, but what if that just happened?
What happens if you try to leave,
I think there's just an invisible wall.
or does the game loop around maybe?
Well, you run out of stamina.
Oh yeah, you just can't.
You just go into the water. Yeah.
But there was offshore islands. There's
Yeah.
two really cool ones. There's the maze one, and then there's the I forget the name
What was
of it.
the
island
puzzle,
where you
the
lose
puzzle
everything.
one? Yeah.
Different games do different stuff. The worst is when a game, like if they're just like a character's like, I don't have any reason to go this way, and they just turn around. Like there's no adventure out here, and it's like they don't even bother to put in like a fake mountain range or anything. Like they just turn you around.
I would, if I were in charge of that, I would totally make it so you could just go on forever, and the acids just slowly break when you look backwards. They just get like it ends up just being a block in the distance.
Well, I like when the dialogue lines mock
Yeah.
you. They're like, "What are you doing? You have business to do. I'm
Yeah.
not going to waste my time here."
See, that's what I don't like.
I like it. It's fun if they write it well.
You get a phone call over and over again. Are you sure you want to go that way?
Clippy just comes up.
Yeah,
Do you need help?
you lost.
I think islands would be great. They need to solve the quickness problem,
Yeah.
and which was done with the speed sail in Wind Waker for Wii U.
They just let you fly.
Really good. Yeah, there you go.
Well, I mean, you can glide already.
Skyward Sword promised that and just failed so hard at it. It was so bad. It was like, oh yeah, and this game is gonna be like Wind Waker with all these islands. You can go to them, and there's like 3 islands. You didn't want to be in them. You just wanted to be down the ground. It was so bad. I mean, I don't think that game is overall bad. I'm just saying that part was bad. I kind of think that game was bad, actually.
That might be the only Zelda game that I haven't played a single minute of.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah.
That actually would be a fun project.
What, to play it?
Yeah,
Well, if they like,
Or would it?
I think it would.
if they re-released
Look,
it,
the worst Zelda is still better than any game I've played this year.
The year is young.
the year is young.
Last year, too. I'll include it last year.
Ooh. What about
So Skyward
Zelda 2?
Sword is better than any game you played in 2019.
Easily.
Come on. Okay, we're moving on. This is Aaron from Dallas.
We really moved on.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't want to hear any of that.
Don't
nonsense.
at me.
Thanks for all of your awesome content. Been listening since the early 200s, and you've always brightened my days. Now for my question. What game mechanic can instantly turn you off to a game? I know that for me, any negative mention of backtracking in a review will cause me to seriously reconsider buying a game.
Oh, not me. I love
Cards.
love backtracking.
Cards, yeah, I know. Yeah, Sam does not like cards.
I love cards.
I
But
know,
those
me
are
too.
always optional.
No,
Not in, not in
they're
like
never
Slay the Spire.
optional. They're only optional
Right.
in Witcher.
Well, I thought you meant more like a game mechanic that's in a larger like RPG world.
I'm so the opposite. If a game has like a cool
It's like
card
cards,
system,
I'm
I'm
in.
like, yeah, triple triad. Give me it.
Yeah. Escort missions. Anything where I have to keep someone else alive. I don't ever want to do that. I only want to just
The
worry
thing
about myself.
escort missions that bothers me, because there's occasionally you don't have to worry about their health, but you still have to escort them, is when they get stuck places.
Yeah.
And then I have to reboot the game. I just did this with Witcher the other day.
Yeah.
Triss wasn't following me. She was on fire for some reason.
Then you may
Maybe
have,
that's why she wasn't moving. I don't know.
Triss, come on, put that fire out.
What are you doing? We got things to do.
She was torching too. That's happened twice. Trish is caught on fire.
She was on
twice.
fire twice, but she wasn't following me once. So, her motivation is really depleting. Mine is maybe a controversial one because the one thing that really irked me about Breath of the Wild is and it's not unique to Breath of the Wild, but it's the weapon breaking system.
Well,
I don't really have a lot of tolerance for a lot of meters on a lot of things, for a lot of things to keep up with. So you got to worry about your inventory and, the durability of your weapons. And especially depending on the balance of those things, like it can easily be annoying.
Yeah, I can see that.
Instant turn off.
Don't mind me. I'm just crying because Tina is slandering Breath of the Wild.
Don't mock me.
I also hate it when a main story mission is a race. When like a character wants you to race you somewhere. I don't ever want to do that.
What?
If I wanted to do that, I'd play a racing game.
I've done
you
several
just
horse
quit?
races in Witcher recently.
Yeah, the horse races.
Yeah, that's actually
Well,
a good example.
It is because you can pay instead, or you can like delusion times 2 if you have it.
I'm not interested in racing
Okay.
or
I like
fishing.
racing.
If there's a fishing mini game,
I love fishing.
Love fishing.
I love fishing
I
and
have
I
no
love
interest in
racing.
fishing in real life or in video games.
I will
man.
engage in a shitty fishing mini game in any game that has it. I'll fish.
too.
I fish so much in Fire Emblem, and it's pointless and stupid. But
What was a bad fishing trip you went on in real life?
Well, my uncle's an avid fisherman, and I would spend summers with him in Louisiana. And God, it's so boring just being out on the water in your boat, just fishing all day. Did
you have a Game Boy?
I just wanted to play video games, and we're out there fishing all day in the heat. It sucked.
I assume you were before beer drinking
Exactly.
age.
Yeah, I was like 12.
Yeah,
That's not. Yeah, you need.
I don't know,
You need to be
Louisiana.
drinking. If you're
that's
fishing.
what I was gonna say. You can have one.
That's the actual legal rule.
At 12.
Louisiana, 1 beer.
Yeah, only if you're on the water.
It can be
there-
9%. It's fine.
I really dislike.
9%.
Yeah, why not?
That's a lot.
It is. Hey, we said 1 beer. Choose wisely.
Yeah, you did the math.
It's huge. It's like 36 ounces. It's a big gulp.
That's like wine in a can. That'll just kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You just
Wine in a can will kill you.
because it's really 2 glasses of wine.
Yeah.
for like a regular sized can.
You don't do the math in your head while you're
you drink
drinking
it so much more quickly than you do out of a wine glass.
Yeah.
Oh, this is just soda.
Especially if it's like a rosé.
Dude.
True.
I've started drinking wine out of regular glasses, and it's a very different vibe.
Regular glasses. Like,
Yeah, just like the same glass I drink water out of.
Well,
yeah, that's.
I'm a big fan of that.
Turns out.
You guys should know. So Sam has a lot of quirks. One of his quirks is that he is very, very particular about what liquids can go into what serving glasses.
That's right. Beer should be served in a pint glass or a glass-like thing that's like more of a jar shape than anything. If it's in like anything with a lip or a stem or anything, unless it's from Europe and it's from a place that made that glass for that beer, then I'm fine with it. If they match
And then
the
on
beer,
Thursdays, it's a totally different scenario.
But what I'll do is at a
Moon is
restaurant,
full.
I'll go and if they serve me, like I hate this the most, is like you get a beer that you want and it's served to you in a stemmed wine glass. That makes me so mad. Not like a beer glass, like a stemmed wine glass, right? So if they do that, you always have like a tumbler next to you with water in it. So I will drink the water or pour it out or whatever. Yeah.
Throw it in people's faces.
House plant. And then I'll pour my beer in that glass and just drink it out of that. And I don't think it causes any trouble or anything. And sometimes the beer comes in that glass the next time.
Good quality of life tips all around.
Okay. I was going to say another thing I don't like in games. I could go on about sports and racing and stuff like that. I just don't play those games. But a game that you guys seem to all like that I don't like would be games that might be really good, but they're about contemporary military guns. I don't like games like you're excited about like Rainbow Six, whatever. I don't know anything about that series.
Well, I mean,
Or Splinter Cell, sorry.
Splinter Cell, yeah.
Yeah. So I would never play that because like I think it's like really dumb and gun culture-y and stupid. So like I don't like any of that stuff. And then I don't like the idea that people are being murdered all the time. It's just too close to home, and it doesn't make me feel good to be in those worlds. I like Hitman is the same way. So I love the idea of those games. I love stealth, and I love
Hitman, too close to home.
No comment.
So wait. But you like Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
Which is using contemporary guns.
In the 80s.
In the 80s. That's so you can...
And there's giant
that's
robot monsters in it.
Okay.
It's sci-fi.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's a game out there.
So
that
Halo
I like
is
that
fine.
Yeah, now I'm trying
I
to
love
think-
Halo. I love it.
Don't you play the Call of Duty?
But there's
No. And when I try to play those, and those are so
You played the last
broy,
one.
too. Like the storylines are. I can't remember the storyline though. I did play it. Yeah, I don't like them though. And then they keep on coming up too. There's like games like like I would have never played Counter-Strike or something, but like when I think about those games, like that's why I didn't play it.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I'll try again.
Were you going to add something?
Well, I just had my own. The mechanic that I don't like is if there's missable content in a game. Like you go to some new area and then there's collectibles or something else that you just can't get in that playthrough anymore.
Okay, Witcher does that sometimes too. You can accidentally fail lots of missions.
Yeah, or like for me, this is, and I recognize the game's excellence in so many ways, but that's why I was so paralyzed and couldn't play Persona 5. Because that is an entire game of like
Consequences.
If you don't do things in the right order and in the right way, you will miss literally like half the game. And like I get so paralyzed by choice, and that freaks me out so much that I end up not playing. And it's really challenging from a game development standpoint to like make a game where anything can be accessed and achieved at any time, like a Skyrim-y game. And I recognize sort of the falseness and challenge of designing a game that way, but like that gives me like a security blanket of like, I don't need to feel like I'm going to miss some collectible in this area if I move on to the next screen.
What about games with lots of dialogue choices?
That part doesn't bother me.
So narrative options are okay to miss out on.
I need to have the ability to know that I can 100% this game, even though I don't 100% any game. Like missing shit, because then I feel like I have to
But it
use.
was your choice.
And then I feel like I have to use a FAQ or FAQ to go through it, which and then I'm min-maxing, and then I'm just outside of my own head and not enjoying the game anymore.
I sometimes cheat with dialogue options, and I'll read ahead and be like, what happens if I choose this one? So I'll do the same thing. Obsessive choices.
And another thing,
Here we go.
cocktails should not be served in wine glasses. That's ridiculous. And don't give me the Aperol Spritz thing. Like I like Negronis and Campari and stuff like that, but Aperol Spritzes are gross, and the New York Times is right.
I like a good Aperol Spritz. Not a cocktail, though. It's a mixed drink. I've received some very important information from one of our viewers.
What, just now? Oh, wait, no. Okay.
This is from Stephen Polanco. He says, the world must know.
Got it.
The world must know what Sam looks like without a mustache. He took the liberty.
Wow, did you Photoshop that?
He took the liberty of
That looks pretty
showing
legit.
us. Yeah.
Wow.
That looks like you without a mustache.
Because I remember.
Does that look like you without a mustache?
I'll put it up.
No,
on the
I think my upper lip looks different than that. But you'll never know.
It's the wrong color. Okay. And that brings us, is that everything? Yeah, that brings us to video game 20 questions.
Should people be spending that much time on stuff like that?
I think it could have been a little better. You probably should have spent a little bit more time.
More time? Oh, no. I don't like that.
Our suggestion this week comes from Ruben in Zurich, Switzerland.
Oh, cool.
Let the questioning begin.
Is this... Never mind. All right. I'm just thinking of Zurich things, and I was thinking like Europe and like what systems they had there, and like
Just
it's
Zurich
probably going to
things.
be an obscure PC game.
It's a ZX Spectrum game for sure.
Exactly. That's
This never takes us down the right path.
okay.
Yeah. Who cares?
But hey, region is a good one to go with. Japanese-based game, American-based game.
Go for it.
Was this made in the West?
No.
It was made in the West from a certain point of view. It's
Depends
west.
on what you mean.
It's west of someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
If we're in Hawaii,
Exactly.
is the developer still around?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Japanese company is still around. Okay. Is this a console exclusive?
Yes.
Is it an RPG?
No.
Did this game originally come out in the 80s?
No. That's 5.
Is this a Nintendo game?
Yes.
Is it from after 2005?
No.
Did this game originally release on the Nintendo 64?
No.
Same question, GameCube.
Yes.
GameCube exclusive.
Okay, so genre maybe?
We know it's not an RPG.
Is it an action game?
No. That's 10.
Whoa.
Oh.
A weird.
Do we know? So was it developed by Nintendo or do we not know that?
Oh, we
developer
don't know that.
published.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
we
an
know
exclusive.
it's a first. Oh, is that
We
all
don't know
we
that
did?
it's first.
It's probably F-Zero GX. That was developed by Sega.
What was the
Or Star Fox.
game the guy on the plane was playing?
Oh yeah, a guy was he was playing. He played 2 games. He played Star Fox 64 and Ocarina of Time
Cool.
on a computer.
Oh, I thought it was like on a tablet.
Yeah, a tablet.
He had like an Android tablet that he was playing these on the plane.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is that a hint?
Nope.
I don't know.
We don't need a hint.
Why
Yes,
would he
you-
bring
yes,
it
you
up
do.
at that point?
I thought it was amazing.
Okay, I just
somebody
won't
playing Nintendo 64 emulated things on a tablet, though. That was kind of surprising. Is this a published by Nintendo game?
Yes.
Was it developed by Nintendo?
No.
Okay, so Star Fox Adventures.
Yeah, or F-Zero GX. Does this game have furry animals in it?
Yes.
Is it Star Fox Adventures? What? Wait, what?
Dial it back. Dial it back.
What I meant to say was. So wait. Okay.
I think we just lost 20 questions.
No.
I'm kind of surprised,
No,
actually.
it's fine.
No, there was no answer, so it's fine.
GameCube game with fuzzy animals, published by Nintendo, not developed by Nintendo. How can it not be? What else is there besides Star Fox Adventures?
There's rare.
It's no, not rare though, right? Because they were bought by that. Because like I was thinking about like Donkey Kong and stuff, but it's not any of those.
There's Super Monkey Ball.
Yeah, but that's just a
Did
Sega game.
Sega just publish that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Although it wasn't GameCube exclusive, but I don't think Nintendo.
Does this game have
published
multiplayer?
Yes.
it. Maybe Nintendo did publish Monkey Ball. Does this have monkeys in it?
No. That is 15.
Wow, not a single. See,
What's the egg? Billy Hatcher?
yeah, that was published by Sega for sure. Yeah.
I thought we had this one in the bag. Unless it is Star Fox and Damon's just being. And now I regret asking a goof question about
He would know that Andros is a chimpanzee or whatever.
a monkey.
Yeah.
Is he? I don't know that. Is that true?
Yeah.
Isn't that Star Fox's dad? He's a fox.
No.
No.
Also, chimpanzees are monkeys.
Okay.
Whatever.
Remember that.
I completely derailed us
That's,
by.
that's clearly a hint.
Is this a sci-fi game?
No.
All right.
Okay. So it's
The
a
heck is it?
GameCube exclusive, published by Nintendo, but not developed by Nintendo, but made by a Japanese
So
company.
there's the Capcom games. So go. What are the?
Piano 3, Resident Evil 4. I don't think the other ones came out, did they?
Could be
Are they-
Resident Evil 4.
is it furry animals?
You save the dog in it.
It's not Resident Evil 4.
No.
No, the developer's still in business.
Yeah. Is this a Capcom game?
No.
Oh no.
I mean, is it Super Monkey Ball and it's just a chimpanzee technically?
No, because no.
Chim Chim. Is that the name of the chimpanzee?
Should we ask
No,
if there's chimpanzees
Gon
in the
Gon
game?
and Tiny
Apes.
and Ai and Baby.
Okay.
No, maybe Baby and Tiny.
You can ask if there's apes in the game.
There's not apes. We already asked about monkeys.
But
Are
Those
there
aren't- those
are
aren't-
there apes in the game?
Yes. Holy heck, yes.
What are you doing to
told
us?
you it was a hint.
You did it, Tina. It's freaking Super Monkey Ball.
Maybe they did publish it. I didn't think they did. Are the apes inside of balls?
No. So you
Okay.
You only have a guess now.
only have a guess. What?
So
what-
it's I know what it is. It's one of the Donkey Kong games because they're not developed by Nintendo.
Yeah, but none of them came out on GameCube.
Yeah, they all did. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat or
Oh.
one of the music ones. So it's either Conga or Jungle Beat.
So it's not Jungle Beat because that was made by Tokyo. That was made by the Mario Galaxy team. Like that was the first game they made. I
It's
think.
Donkey Konga. Do we have any more questions?
No.
Donkey Konga might have been made by might have been developed by Namco.
Yeah, it's a music thing. There's also Mario DDR.
We should have asked.
But I think the hint here is that it's Donkey Kong.
We should have stopped goofing around a long time ago and asked if it was a Donkey Kong game.
Well, I just didn't think of the other Donkey Kong games.
Yeah.
I think it's Conga.
Do it.
Does that match a bunch of the things?
Yeah, except I can't remember who developed it.
All right, is it Donkey Konga? Are there apes in it? Oh my goodness.
And it was developed by Namco.
Yeah, cool.
2004. I actually never played it, but isn't it just Taiko Drum Master?
No.
No, it's different.
Yeah.
It's more like
It's really cool.
the other rhythm games of the time, right? Like it's kind of like guitar.
You use the bongos.
Yeah.
And just,
I think
seems like Taiko Drum Master.
I think I might be one of the
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might be one of the only people on Earth that I had Donkey Konga 1 and 2 and 2 sets of bongo drums so that people could come over and play together. You could tap left and right, and you could clap, and you could tap the side of the drum. And it was great. Like we busted that thing out and played with it a lot, and then we finally got rid of it.
It has like licensed music in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
like
they're
cover
covers.
It
versions.
had like All Star and stuff like that.
Yeah, and
Like Smash Mouth.
Yeah.
Oye Como Va.
Yeah. And like Donkey Kong is like, is he like performing in the game? It's like,
I don't remember that detail, but I know that it was in the early like Guitar Hero 1 and 2 days where they were all covers, bad covers of those songs. They weren't the original.
Also,
recordings.
in the Donkey Kong universe, I think there are also monkeys.
Yeah, that's why I was choosing whether I was going to bring this up and
The
litigate
main
this at the end
characters
of
are all
the show.
types of ape, right? But I think there are also.
Yeah, like what about Diddy?
Well,
I don't think
Diddy Kong
Yeah.
he's related.
related to Donkey Kong? The ape?
But Diddy Kong is not an ape.
You want to tie break this one, Tina?
I can research it.
But also, okay, so Cranky Kong has a long beard and walks with a cane.
He's an old ape.
But like, I mean, Funky Kong, I think is an ape too. But then there's Candy Kong. Oh my God, are they all related? Who's the one? There's one that's like clearly like an orangutan.
Yeah. Yeah, the one from Donkey Kong 64. Mm-hmm. As long as an orangutan, yeah.
Too big to be a movie. What was that? What was the ad for Donkey Kong 64?
Yeah, too many worlds.
Thank you for the suggestion. Ruben in Zurich, Switzerland. If you have your own 20 questions, suggestions, send them to me at gamescoop@ign.com. Now that you've finished with GameScoop, go watch Next Gen Console Watch 2020. The latest episode is up now you can watch it on ign.com or on our YouTube channel. And also check out our article this week on what all those teraflops are going to mean for next gen games. We'll be promoting that on ign.com all through the weekend.
And the store.
And go to store.ign.com. Can they still use
Yeah.
What's a good discount code?
Scoop 10.
Scoop 10 for 10% off anything in the IGN store. GameScoop shirts, and I am told Omega Cop shirts are forthcoming.
Coming soon.
And console watch shirts.
There is a console watch shirt up there too. Soon to be a very limited.
It's a great
edition.
design.
To be a collector's item. That's all the scoops that we have for you this week. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Sam. My name is Damon. You can always reach us at the email address gamescoop@ign.com, and we're out.